Hello everybody, Pastor Phil here. It is Thursday and time for the weekly Word Live. I hope that you can hear me. I am sort of a one-man operation here, trying to make this work. But hopefully you can hear me. Again, welcome. If you're watching on Facebook, do us a huge favor, hit the share button. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Make sure that you're subscribed. Now that way you'll be notified every time a new video comes out. Actually, I think you have to hit the bell icon to be notified when a new video comes out. So we're glad that you are watching. We're glad. I'm just so worried that all of a sudden nobody can hear me. I'm hearing people beeping at me, which is a bad sign. Okay, Stephanie is going to confirm that you can all hear me. Like I said, one-man operation. I don't have access to the equipment. It's on the other side of the room. One thing I want to let you know, we have been very intentional about prayer during this whole epidemic and crisis. We've been praying every Tuesday as a group, and our prayer team has been praying. If you're interested in being prayed for, this is the number to use, 407-988-0991. You can text your prayer request to that number, and we'll pray for you. How are we doing? I get the thumbs up. Okay, you can hear me. Thank you. Now I can relax. This is a private text message number. It comes to me, and then what I do is I then turn this over to our prayer team. But if you want to be prayed for, you can text this number. Or actually, if you want to get in touch with us, that's fine too. One thing to remember, you can get in touch with us by calling the church number as well. I don't have a graphic for that, I don't believe. The number is 407-327-6468. Of course, you find us on Facebook as well. If you're on our Facebook page, we have a LifePoint family group. You're welcome to be a part of that. Just search in Facebook for that, and you can find it, or just reach out to us. We'll make sure you get in there. So on today's Weekly Word Live, a few things I want to do. Number one, I want to give you some church updates, just some numbers to share. Pretty encouraging, actually, so I want to share those with you because you're a big part of that. And then we're going to talk about what's coming up next as a church, what's on the horizon in terms of what we're going to be learning and studying, but then also kind of maybe coming back to church, talking about that a little bit. And then we'll have a video coming from Matt and a video coming from Jan a little bit later, if I can make these buttons work. All right, so first of all, really interesting in terms of attendance at LifePoint. You know, LifePoint attendance over the years has gone, up and down like all church attendances do. And as we were heading into the month of March, our attendance was actually trending upwards, and we were averaging about 210 people a Sunday. Now, when this thing happened, the last live service we did was our outside baptism service on the 8th of March. And that was a great service. We didn't get a really good count because it was kind of a strange scenario. Some people were inside, some people were outside. But up until that time, we were averaging about 210 people. Now, we went online for the first time on March 15th, and we were trying to figure out the best way to figure out how many people were watching. And so what we do is we take the total number of people that watched on Sunday from both Facebook and YouTube, and then you get a specific number. Facebook tends to be a little bit higher, YouTube tends to be a little bit lower. That has, I think, to do with the fact that some of those views are counted when people scroll by. But our best guess was to try to say, okay, well, those are the numbers they give us. So just to give you an idea, over the last 5 weeks of online viewing, our average 922 computers have viewed the service. Again, it's weird to say because we don't know how many people were watching on those computers. Obviously, in many cases, more than just one. But an average of almost 1,000 over the last 5 weeks. Now, when we look at Easter, the number was 1,233, and we asked people to say how many people were watching. If you were watching those, we said, put your name and where you're watching from, and how many people were watching. And we took an average of that and multiplied it, which means we believe that there was 3,082 people that viewed the service on Easter, which is incredible. It's amazing, actually. Now, it's true we don't know exactly how long all of them watched for. Some of them might have just jumped in quickly, but the average view time was over 30 minutes. So we know many, many people actually stayed and watched a good chunk of that. And I just think that's interesting. One of the things I was mentioning in my sermon was how this pandemic thing, this epidemic, has actually served to quicken churches to a certain extent. As strange as that is, we're seeing all across the board a growth in church attendance because all of a sudden the church is, coming right into your home. Now, we've been streaming for a couple of years, but most churches haven't. So immediately, churches began within a week or two figuring out how they were going to stream their services. And so we're seeing this growth trend, which of course is a good thing. The pandemic is a terrible thing, but church growth is a good thing. Now, we don't know, we're still continuing to try to figure out how to quantify those numbers and really what even they mean, because these numbers don't include the subsequent views throughout the week, which make the videos go much, much higher. So this is just the views on Sunday. People are watching on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and so on and so forth. But I think it's interesting and actually encouraging that many, many people are watching. The second thing that's interesting in terms of a church update is our offerings. Now, when we decided to go fully online only, us, like many other churches, we were like, uh-oh, what's going to happen financially? What is this going to do to the church? Most churches were pretty worried about it. Now, I wasn't, I would say, as worried as other churches, but certainly in the back of my mind, I was like, what's going to happen here? Surprisingly, our average offerings have actually gone up, which is amazing. Over the last 5 weeks, our average offering has been just over $7,000 a week. Now, you know that our weekly need is $6,900. So we are actually exceeding our weekly offering, and that is an incredible blessing. Praise God. Now, some people would say, Phil, you shouldn't tell people that the giving is going good because then people are going to stop giving. Well, I don't believe that about LifePoint. I don't believe that about you guys. I wanted to bring this up for a couple reasons. One, it's obvious that LifePoint's a generous church. You always have been. Number two, it's obvious that God is blessing us even despite the challenges that we're having, as a culture. And I think that in an interesting way, just like the church attendance has increased, I think our passion for what we're trying to do in some way has increased. It's almost like, the devil, or maybe, just whatever this thing is throwing up a roadblock, and we're trying to figure out what to do and how to be innovative and the best way to reach people. And I'm excited about that. So thank you is what I really want to say for your continued generosity. And I just say thank you for that. We're doing the best we can to make sure that as a church we continue to function and we continue to be focused on Christ and faithful in the community. Speaking of which, I want to let you know that some of the other things that are going on. Now, thankfully at the church, we know that only a handful of people have been laid off or furloughed. We have some in our congregation that have, not a ton. But here's what I want to say. If you are out there and you're part of our church, well, even if you're not part of our church, if you're just watching, and you have been furloughed or laid off and things are getting difficult for you, please reach out to us and let us know so that we can do whatever we do as a church to help. I'll put that number up on the screen again there. That's a good way to contact us. So you could send prayer requests or you could also contact us that way. But if you're in need of food or if you're in need of other resources, if you would let us know, we'll do our best to help you with that. Pastor Jan, our associate pastor, has been working very hard in the care ministry to check in on some of our older congregation, check in on some of the people that have some health challenges, check in generally with people to make sure everything's going okay. He and Linda Walk went into our food pantry. They rearranged the whole thing so that it's kind of ready to be like a drive-through pantry now. And so the food is sort of prepackaged into kits, for families, and it's divided up. So if you need some food or if you know of somebody who does need some food, please let us know. We would love to help you out. We'll get Pastor Jan out there and you can pick up any of the resources of food you need. So that's important, and that's one of the things we're doing with the resources that people are giving us. Another thing is that our groups are still going and going strong, and that's exciting. Now, I know if you're like me, you're probably tired of Zoom. It's not as good as the real thing, but it's better than nothing. You know that on Mondays, our young adults meet on Zoom. Tuesdays, we've been having our prayer meeting. Usually about 9 to 12 people come to that, and we've been diligent in praying for the needs of our community and the church and our leaders and so on. Youth group is happening every single Wednesday night. That's happening also with Zoom. Our young adults also meet on Friday night, and I think that's different. That might be on Instagram. I'm not sure. This is all on our website if you want to check that out. And then many of the small groups have continued to meet as well by Zoom. And so I really, am thankful for you guys as a church. You're just figuring out how to get it done and trying to help us do our best as well. Now, speaking of groups, we have a brand new resource that Pastor Jan is in charge of, and it's called Coffee with Pastor Jan. He's got a little video that I'll play, and you can check it out right now.
I'm Pastor Jan. I'm starting a new weekly devotional called Coffee with Pastor Jan to encourage you in these tough times. In times like these, more than ever, we need God and we need each other. We will immerse ourselves in God's Word, His Word which sustains us, even and especially in these tough times we are going through now. So I'll see you this coming Monday morning at 10 a.m. for this encouraging message, and the first one will be from Isaiah, as he encourages God's children who are in exile in Babylonia. It feels like we're in exile right now, doesn't it? So listen, have a great weekend and stay safe. I'll see you Sunday morning. God bless.
All right, so make sure you check that out. It's going to be Mondays at 10 a.m. It will be uploaded and ready to go, and so just another resource, another way to encourage you. Now, as far as moving forward, I'm going to just be honest with you. I've been just trying to figure out, what am I going to preach about during this pandemic? The last 3 weeks, we had Easter and Palm Sunday, and another Sunday before that, the 29th of March. And it's somehow it seems like you can't talk about anything besides the pandemic, but I don't want to talk about the pandemic forever. As a church, I think our job, I know our job is to encourage each other and to spur one another on to good works. That's what Hebrews 10:25 says. And so I was thinking about what I was going to preach. Now, originally I was planning on preaching in Ecclesiastes. This is something I planned last fall. And I even filmed some promotional material for that. And then as I was thinking about it, I was like, that's just not really the right thing to talk about. Not that the book of Ecclesiastes is bad, it just doesn't fit. What I was trying to do is figure out what would be the best way to encourage you and to inspire you without talking about the virus every single Sunday. And in my mind, what I would like to do is talk about some of the Old Testament heroes of the faith. Abraham, for example, Elijah, Esther, Ruth, and a bunch of others. Each of them were very normal, imperfect people who were thrust into a difficult situation, and due to their faith, were able to survive, and it was God who strengthened them and got them through the ordeal. Now, these are very much like some of the old school stories. Some of you might be very familiar with them, but what I would like to do is share these stories, help them come to life for you, and use them as a platform to see how faith can inspire and can strengthen you. And so that's what we have coming up for the next 7 or 8 weeks. A brand new series called Heroes of the Faith. I promise you it will be exciting. Preaching this way and telling Old Testament narrative stories and finding the application and drawing parallels to our life. That's one of my favorite things to do when I'm teaching. And I think that you'll really, really appreciate it. So we're going to talk about how to strengthen ourselves in the means of challenges without constantly talking about the coronavirus. Now, one thing that we're going to try to do that's pretty exciting is we're going to add an interactive element to the church service on Sunday morning. This is one of the things we wanted to do because obviously watching a church service is, okay. It's not the best. It would be better if we were in person, but we've been trying to make it as interactive as possible. And so at the end of each service, we're adding a special interactive quiz section to the service, and Matt's going to be in charge of that. Super creative. Here's what Matt has to say. Take a look at this.
Okay, I'm really excited about what we're going to be doing for the next series that Pastor Phil is going to be doing, and that is we're going to play a game to see how well you listened. It's going to be a little quiz after each sermon. And so how we're going to do that is through an app called Kahoot. Your kids probably already know about Kahoot because they use it in their classroom, but you will now also. We used it in Building Strong Families once as well. But Kahoot, you're going to basically download it on your Android or Apple phone or your iPad or other tablet device, or you can use Kahoot.it on your web browser on a PC or a Mac, on your desktop or laptop. Doesn't matter. Basically, after the sermon and after communion, I'll come on live. We'll send you a code. You're going to put that code in whatever device you choose, and that will allow you access to the questions. And then you'll be able to answer the questions in the time limit as a part of the quiz. It's going to be really fun. I hope you participate. Can't wait.
All right. So that's going to be fun and exciting, and we're going to do our best to make it interesting and valuable for you, and just another way to be interactive. So that's what's coming around the corner in terms of teaching. Now, last thing I want to mention, a couple of people have asked, and of course we don't really absolutely know, but when are we going to be able to come back to the building? So, of course, right now in the government, they're trying to figure all of this out. And more than anything, we want to be safe. We want to comply. We want to get back together, but obviously do it in the safest way. We're hoping that somewhere around May, we'll be able to do some kind of coming back. And we don't know exactly how, but we've been talking about, we are anticipating that they'll allow groups to get back together under certain numbers. And so if we are able to do that, we'll probably do something like where we maybe divide up into some different services and set sort of a max limit on how many people can be in there, maybe change some of the ways that we greet each other and things like that. But we're hoping to get back to normal as soon as possible. And so just keep an eye out for that. The point is we're going to do the right thing, but we want to get back to being a church. And I think we're going to learn a lot. We've learned a lot from this already. We're going to continue to learn a lot and continue to reach out to you guys online as well. But we are definitely looking forward to getting back together soon. So there are updates. That's a little bit what's coming in the future. Don't forget, if you have a prayer need or if you want to reach out to us, you can do that. I mentioned this in an earlier post on our LifePoint family group page, but if you're struggling, if you need someone to talk to, if you would like someone to pray for you or just need some encouragement, I'm available to do that. You can call the church office at 407-327-6468, or you can text that prayer request line. I have a little schedule. And, Pastor Jan's available for that too, and Pastor Matt's available for that as well. We appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for being a part of what we're doing here as a church. And thanks so much for your generosity and for your commitment to the gospel. And we just, we're thankful for you guys, and we just hope you stay safe. And we'll see you next time live Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Okay? We'll see you then. God bless.